So first of all, I'll just have you say and spell your name for me, please, so I don't get it wrong.
It's Paul Alexander, Paul Alexander.
You also made it clear that you do work for Dwell. What is your position?
I'm a coach of adult home churches.
Okay.
I do
How
different
long?
things.
Hmm?
I also I run a podcast. I help too. We have a thing called life coaching where we pair adults with students from disadvantaged backgrounds. I've worked for the church for 8 years.
Okay. And were you a member for a while before you took a job there?
Yeah, since 1995.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
So tell me, first of all, why did you agree to this interview?
Good question. I saw that you were. I saw the reports from last week, and I also saw you reach out on social media asking for members to give their perspective. And I thought, as a member, um, there's things I could say that may balance some of what was said, not to discount, but balance.
I really appreciate that. And you did provide a couple of conditions that we do this interview. So let's talk about those conditions and
Yeah.
just why you needed those reassurances.
Mhm. Yeah. First, I just wanted to share my opinions as a member rather than speak on behalf of the church because I'm not an elder. I'm not involved in the policy making or a lot of what may be said. I've primarily a member. A lot of my time is spent just volunteering around the church, and a lot of the experiences that were described to you and that you highlighted were from students. And my time as a student in Xenos was not as an employee, but as someone who's for it was their my first church experience. So,
Oh, this was the first time you ever went to a church?
yeah. Uh-huh.
So tell me about your experience. I just want to give you the floor here to tell me what you've gained. I
Sure.
understand that faith and faith community can be a really wonderful, powerful thing.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I think I came around in high school through a friend to a Bible study. I was apprehensive. I had a general faith in God, but was apprehensive about church, apprehensive about formalism or hypocrisy or just different stereotypes to get about church. And when I came, it was kids like me being real with each other. It was instead of a pastor saying what he thought, it was studying of the Bible and what it says, and discussion over what the implications were. That I really appreciated that. And as I got more involved, it was neat because I grew up as a child of divorce. Grew up with my mother and grandmother who were great, but just found a lot of healing in male relationships, older men investing in me, uh, experiencing, not just learning about God's grace, but experiencing it as I saw others being vulnerable about their lives in ways that I thought I could never do. And, uh, and then the extension of grace and acceptance when I would do the same. And just a lot of healing from that. It's where I saw healthy families for the first time and marriage relationships. I met my wife here, and we just celebrated our 18th anniversary. We've got two kids.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, we got two children, and it's been, I don't know how long we would have made it without the support of friends around me in the church and good guidance and the examples of those who are older who have like been there to give advice. It's been just a neat support. I mean, it's God's done the work, but feel like he's used this church in a real healthy way in my life.
Mhm. Quite a few people who did write in, it had expressed some of the community engagement that
Yeah,
the church is involved in.
yeah,
I want to take this opportunity to ask you a little bit about that.
yeah. My wife, she actually works for Harambe Christian School, which is in South London. It's highly a high majority of the children there. It's a private school that's mainly funded through voucher and through the church. And my wife's the second grade teacher. There's students that are all from that South Linden neighborhood. And what's awesome about that school is every year their test scores are performing at levels that are at level with the local suburban schools, which is amazing. I'm real proud of my wife and that she gets to do that. And awful lot, we do raise money as a church, but over a quarter of the money we raise for the church goes directly to relief work within the city and around the world. We have partners in countries in Africa and Asia and South America that are providing not just spiritual education, but practical and helpful and life-changing relief. So just happy to be part of that.
Gotcha. And obviously you and a lot of your fellow church members are aware of the reporting that happened last week. You've been able to watch it. You've been able to read the
Yeah.
articles. What do you want people to know that didn't come across in my stories last week?
I don't know. I don't want to discount people's stories because a lot of them, actually, all that you showed, I don't know any of those people personally. I think there's a dynamic in our church that makes it both wonderful and um, uh, at risk for such things. And it's two things. One, we highly value community, close community, the being together a lot with each other. You probably saw that with the ministry houses. And so, the typical American church experience, seeing each other on Sundays and being pleasant is good. But imagine if you ramp that up. Imagine if, I'm sure Bob Nunnally is a pleasant guy to work with. Imagine living with him. You know what I mean? Or imagine uh, what happens when you engage in community at such a high level. I think that leads to conflict. It leads to miscommunication. It leads to people's insecurities bouncing off of each other. Some of what was described to you, I saw, was people feeling pressure. I've had to apologize for applying pressure to people, and I've had members apply pressure to me. And it's part of doing life together, which we highly value. And you got broken people like me rubbing up against each other, trying to learn how to love each other, and I think it leads to things. I think the other factor that's great about our church, but also leads to these conflicts is a high decentralization. What was implied and what I heard a lot last week is cult activity, and I think it's quite the opposite because, in fact, we have our church is almost what you could call a confederacy of up to over 200 small groups around the city, run by over 800 lay leaders who have received training, who do get oversight, but there is not a pastor or a counselor or an elder in every one of these groups. And I think that leads to miscommunication. It leads to people making mistake, maybe going further than they wanted to. I don't know in the specific cases what happened with these people, and it makes me sad. Yeah, but I think that's part of the dynamic of what's going on in our church.
I understand what you're saying, and you know, I I understand that you do not speak for your church entirely, but it sounds like you are free to give feedback. So, what feedback would you give? I suppose in order to implement some more systemic accountability for what goes on, maybe in some of the student ministries.
Hmm. I not to be secretive, but I will say that I have and would share that freely with those in the church who do listen.
What specifically?
I'd rather keep that private.
What your feedback would be?
Yes.
May I ask why the discretion?
Because this is public.
It has been said that there is a grievance board. In Conrad's response that he sent me via email, I know he posted that as well. Is there a grievance board?
It's ad hoc. It's created when necessary and when needed.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen it in action?
No.
Okay. We already touched on this, but I just want to give you another opportunity to answer. What do you make of the things that were said by former members last week?
I hope, I guess I have a message for.
Oh, your audio cut out a little bit. I don't want to.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Perfect, thank you.
I guess I just have a message that I in no way wish to dismiss any accusations as false, because I don't know accounts, but I, as someone who has been hurt by others and have hurt others, I'm grateful to follow a God who can make good out of a lot. I feel like a lot of my growth has come through both sinning against people and being sinned against, and it's probably it's one of the hardest, but one of the strongest ways that I feel like God grows us as people. And I pray that God would make good out of what people have gone through, that they would find other churches and be lights in Columbus.
Oh goodness, sometimes I get a little bit forgetful. Yes. I want to address a concern that some of your fellow church members had when I asked for interviews from them, and they decided it wasn't in their best interest. They were concerned about the fact that we need to use individual sound bites within a whole story, and they were concerned about what they're saying being taken out of context. I hope you can understand that, in broadcast, we only have a certain amount of time to work with.
Oh,
I can expand a little bit more online, but, so that I am going to have to, I can't run this entire conversation
right.
During the 6 o'clock news tonight. So if there is one big takeaway that you want our viewers to have, what would that takeaway be?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Your mic cut out again.
Oh, sorry.
There you are.
Sorry, I'm not very succinct, so I'm not sure what to say.
What's the most important thing that people should know if they have heard all of our reports last week?
Not sure what to say. Okay. Sorry, I'm freezing up a little bit.
No, I understand, and this is not live. I will, like I said, we transfer you a copy of this interview since you weren't able to get a video recording yourself. If you think of anything else that you want to say, if I made you feel put on the spot in any way, and something comes to you, you know where to find me. You can DM me, you can email me, whatever you'd like. But this will be part of a story that runs at 6 o'clock.
I appreciate you, Jean.
And I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for taking the time and putting a face to your story and a name to your story. Thank you.
Thank you.